On this episode of Team Building Saves the World.
Man, were you dropped in by aliens? I mean, this is my two moods probably are namaste, and I'll cut you. But that's beside the If someone does not believe in a natural sixth sense, I pray they believe in the other five. And when they work, the only excuse is I'm the mentalist. I'm supposed to know these things.
Hello, team. It's me, your old friend Rich Rinnensland, host of Team Building Saves the World, the show where I speak to thought leaders from around the world, discussing variable strategies and tools to help you and your team build a better work environment. And today, do you know what I'm thinking? Because my guest sure does. We're talking to mentalist and entertainer Jon Stetson. But first, I have to share some love with all of my supporters at Team Bonding. If your team is ready to experience teamwork through the power of play, then visit teambonding.com to learn more. Now, team, join me in welcoming my guest, a speaker and entertainer who, for the past 25 years, has performed for royalty, presidents, Fortune 1000 organizations, and appeared on television countless times. The man who inspired the hit CBS television series The Mentalist, Jon Stetson. Jon!
Wow. Man, such enthusiasm.
I
love it.
What can I tell you? I'm excited. You were like my first actual, celebrity that I've had on the podcast, man. I'm just excited you're here. How are you today?
Oh, man, truly blessed and highly favored and just happy. I am just happy. I love what I do. Nice. And I don't just mean my work. I mean everything that I do. Because that's a choice that we have, and I suggest we all go for it.
I remember my parents when I was young asking me very specifically what I wanted to do when I grew up, and all I said was, I want to be happy. And they went, are you sure you wouldn't rather be financially stable? To which I went, I don't think those things equate. But I'm glad in your case that they have.
They do not, man. Were you dropped in by aliens? I mean, this is... to be able to determine that at such a young age.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But enough about me. Everybody on here, everybody who listens knows about me. Let's talk about you, Jon Stetson. My God. First off, I normally ask people to start off telling everybody who they are and how they got into this. But if they know you already, they've got to know some of that story. Let's start with telling my team out there, what is a mentalist in your own words, and how did you decide that this was the direction you needed to take your life?
Well, this is a very, very good question.
Well, thank you.
Because there are so many definitions that can come across these days. As a matter of fact, our television show, The Mentalist, actually began with a dictionary definition of the mentalist.
Huge fan of the show, by the way.
We had a ball. Everybody was so great, and I'm sure you realize my uncanny resemblance to Simon.
I was going to say,
yeah. Okay, so that part was a little. Anyway, I use the power and precision of my mind to entertain, to communicate, to educate, and to inspire people. That is my definition. The way of doing these things are with demonstrations of ESP, telepathy, clairvoyance. My job is to allow people to experience something out of the ordinary. To give people the opportunity, because there's so many of us who just love the unusual, the mysterious, the unexplained. It is a great, way for me to communicate. Now, I had these folks in my family who did this kind of work.
Okay.
And so I was always somewhat of what I would call a closet mentalist. I've been entertaining from a very young age.
Nice.
between with magic and comedy and various and sundry things. But I always wanted to be a mentalist. And in order to do this, it truly requires a great deal of life experience.
Okay.
I personally don't think we become good students until we're 40 years old.
Sure.
In life in general. And so needing to have the experience. And as we all know, there is no substitute for flight time.
Yeah.
Learning to do what I did under so many different circumstances and conditions, the multidisciplinary background of the circus, the carnival, children's shows.
Gotcha.
Many years on cruise ships in different capacities. Of course, working the corporate end of things, which led to my keynote speaking and the workshops that I do, and even experience with trade shows, auto shows. I spent a great deal of time in comedy clubs, the darkest places in the world back in the late 70s and 80s when I was around. And I actually still have a home club today that I visit in Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun Comics. I love appearing over there.
It's a great little spot. Yeah, been there.
Yeah,
great spot.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm just in a situation where I just absolutely love all of it still. As a matter of fact, right now, I'm in Folsom, California, and I'm appearing in a place called Mystique, where we are doing a very, very mysterious program in a beautiful environment. It's somewhat of a dinner theater, a very intimate one. Okay. And we're also we are incorporating the work of Edgar Allan Poe in this one.
Nice.
So yeah. So I've been fortunate to be able to do some of these more theatrical type of things. The theatrical seance. I did one for Club 27. Janis Joplin, Robert Johnson, Jim Morrison, these kind of things, and they're all those are just fun mystery shows. I love mystery. I love magic, and I've also seen real magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that story? Tell me that.
Oh, well, there is. It's amazing to me how many magicians don't believe in magic.
Right.
I truly believe in the wonderful things in this world. Einstein said every day, there are two ways to look at life. One that everything is a miracle and one that nothing is a miracle.
Yeah.
I personally live in the miracle camp. Initially, I thought it was because I was more selfish, and it's a heck of a lot more fun, but everything is a miracle.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I don't go all Birkenstocks and bongos on you here. Okay? my two moods probably are namaste, and I'll cut you. But that's beside just like everyone else. So it's having a good understanding of what people are like. We're all empathic,
right?
I believe. And my message to the empaths: please observe, don't absorb. Nice. That's when the trouble starts. And I also have daily things that I send out messages to people. I have a Facebook group. I'd love to talk about it for a sec.
Please go ahead. Feel free.
It's called the Stetson Circle.
Okay.
And it shares so much of my philosophy, my concerns about things. It's a nice place for nice people. There's no place for politics. My dog Olive is featured over there quite often, and she has a bigger internet following than I do. Lovely. So it's just how I go about living my life, and the way I go about living my life just is such a huge part of all of my performance and my speaking, and the wonder that is this world. This is still a magnificent place.
Nice.
And it's my job to allow people to see it.
Can I ask, if you don't mind, did it start out that you had this frame of mind and it led you in the direction that you went into mentalism? Or did you find that being a mentalist led you to this frame of mind?
The answer is yes. there was always something there.
Okay.
And I love the idea of the connection between people. I was trained as a young age by my grandfather saying things like, "Gee, what do you think that person's thinking? Where do you think they're going? What do you?" And it caused me to realize the wonder of life, of being present.
Nice.
Because when you are present, if someone does not believe in a natural sixth sense, I pray they believe in the other five. And when they work together in concert, you become a remarkable person. You become a remarkable person quite often just by listening.
Yeah.
To people. There's a great story about a young man who was having dinner with Andrew Carnegie upon his graduation from university.
Okay.
And it was at one of these huge old Gilded Age type dinners. The young man was actually fortunate to be seated next to him. Okay. And his uncle had arranged this. And afterwards, Carnegie said, "Oh, what a fascinating young man. Have him come to my office tomorrow morning. We will find a position for him in our organization." And so he asked his nephew, he goes, what did you tell him? And he said, "Nothing. I just listened to him all night."
That's amazing.
Which is one of the reasons I have little cards that say, "Stop talking." I will give to people. Actually, on my computer, I have WAIT also, which stands for "Why Am I Talking?"
Well, because you're my guest. So if
that's a different. I took it off.
We're talking about you now, so you might as well be the.
I took it off.
The expert. Wonderful.
But yeah, as these things were happening, and in life experience in general, as these things were happening, you began to see how things could tie in beautifully, how valuable someone's thoughts and memories are to them, the way that they think, how I can entertain, but yet at the same time, well, it's the respect that everybody should have for their audience, for their participants, for the members of their circles online. And as a young person, let's face it, there's so many people in show business or the now speaking industry or whatever.
Right.
It's all look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
And okay, it serves for a period of time in your life, but I love the expression, and it was first told me by Ray Kroc, the McDonald's guy. Remember him? Mm-hmm. And he said, "When you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot."
Wow.
And I subscribe to that every day. I want to learn something new. And people say, "What about your craft or about anything?" I said, "Whatever I learn pertains to my craft."
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a good place to be.
That's nice. That's really, really nice. And
it's a good place to be.
So you have all of these programs you've done throughout the storied career that you have had. But how is it you can actually take, because mostly when you think about the magic and comedy and mentalism, you're picturing somebody standing on a stage, maybe 3 or 4 people are coming up during the course of the whole program to take part in it. How do you take that and make it viable enough to keep the attention of an entire corporate group and also teach them a lesson?
Okay. Well, let's face it. Some days the mission is go out there, entertain, have a great show.
Right.
Now, of course, in this day and age, that comes with, let's just say, even more responsibility based on the
sensitivity
concerns, and I'm just going to say fears that people have about what once again can be said or not be said, what have you. So it is extremely important, for anyone in this kind of thing, is to check your ego at the door.
Nice, good start.
And learning what is the key to everything in my work, and I believe everyone's work, is self-awareness. Total self-awareness.
Yeah.
Warts and all, knowing who we are. If we know who we are and are honest to that truth, first and foremost, I believe in this forever, people have wanted authenticity.
Right.
They want real. I want real.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be real. I want to convey these things in a very real way. Learned to do things comedically, and of course, I've written comedy for several people through the years. I used to write for Rodney Dangerfield and several others, other stories for other days, I guess. In the course of still performing, and I worked his nightclub an awful lot back in the day. But some people will say, "Where's your stuff?" As far as, let's say, props or what have you.
Yeah.
And it'll sound a little unusual. I said, well, my biggest prop, I really can't fit in a truck or anything because it's the audience.
Right.
It's the audience, their minds, and their thoughts. Essentially, I need to be seen and heard. That is, and I prefer close proximity to people. Sure. In some places, of course, that's just not doable. Right. So we gear the program accordingly. And it's a question of making things interesting.
Okay.
I believe we are storytellers.
Agreed.
And let's go back to the time of the caveman. The one who developed into the storyteller was a key and important part of that village. It truly, we look at it as things went on, and I'm a great student of history of all types. And but in looking back, you see these things and how we developed as a species, but then just as a society, and how things are. We all need to be speaking about something interesting,
right?
Something that pertains to what have you. Oftentimes, a company will come to me and say, "We want to communicate this."
Okay.
Boom. We want to express this. We have a kickoff this year. Our theme is.
Right.
And fortunately, as a mentalist, a mind reader, association with magic, I can more or less adapt what I do to a theme in 2 moves or less. If you get right down to it. Customization is extremely important, but there must be a good core. Years ago, I had I've had so many great teachers and mentors through the years. One of them said, "Yeah, my core is a skeleton on which I hang things."
Yeah.
And but if it comes to something brand new, full blown stuff, let's take that challenge on. Oh, wow. Artificial intelligence. Wow. Okay. Let's go into that playground and see and learn. So many of us want to just resist things. I was one of those people. I did not like the word change. Right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of my some things I'll do that'll be more of a classroomy kind of thing is let's just say my favorite book, The 4 Agreements, which I work with, and I have created new material based on the Toltec way of thinking. But these things also lend themselves beautifully to entertainment. They really do. It's so easy just to weave it all in, especially when it's natural. Right. When it's who you are, you can do these things. For example, the first of our 4 agreements is being impeccable with your word. Okay. Sounds interesting. I will bring this concept to almost a different place, where I say I love magic words. My favorite magic word? I'll take a guess.
Please?
Oh,
sorry, my mother drug it into me. That's.
I know, that is the sweetest. That is the sweetest thing. My favorite magic word is abracadabra.
Ah, the classicist. Yes.
Oh, but the majority of folks may not know what that means. It comes from it's Hebrew, back in the day of the time of Jesus would have been spoken. And abracadabra means I create as I speak.
Nice.
Or as I speak, I create. Because that's what we do. Every time you are opening your mouth, you are casting a spell.
Hmm.
We all know about words that cannot be taken back and how harmful words can be, how words can just hold people back for years and years, break their spirit. Words have wings, words have weights. So being impeccable with your words is essentially choosing the correct words. Now, there are things that we can do based on what would be called, let's say, hypnotic language or neurolinguistic programming,
right.
NLP. And a simple thing like that would be, let's say if you have a teenager at home and you say, hey, don't forget to take out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
What might program and register a little bit better, not that we're attempting to brainwash, we're attempting to communicate,
right,
would be to say, please remember to take out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what are you saying? Don't. Okay,
yeah.
Don't. All right, don't. Remember. Okay, I won't remember this. Trash? No.
Nice.
Oh, forget? Oh yeah, I'll forget. Don't forget to take out the trash.
Yeah.
There you go. And it sounds so simple, but you know what? Everything is.
Very nice.
And as a mentalist, another thing that I stress is for people to not overthink about things.
Sure.
And it's interesting in entertainment quite often, or even for corporate presentations, say, well, I don't want him to know what I'm thinking. Well, first of all, I cannot really share a thought unless you want me to. First of all, those are my ethics and my truth and the respect that I have for everyone with whom I work. The same way, I am not in the embarrassment business. Believe you me, from working nightclubs and places I've worked through the years, I have that ability to fillet. But it's awful. It's awful. I have that club in my bag if I need to play the hole, but I never do. Very cool. Because I do not want to be embarrassed myself. I don't want to do it to other people. Yeah. There's no skill in it. There's no art in it. And there's no point in it.
Plus, I've always found embarrassment is one of those hot buttons that if somebody in the group gets embarrassed, that is the fastest way to gain empathy with everybody else, but they're going to get embarrassed for them. And then you're losing everybody.
Yes. And you need to know ways to fix these things.
Right.
If they do accidentally occur in the course of a program, in any interactive program.
Speaking of which, John, I want to dig in, especially with the end of the programs, but I hope you don't mind. I need to step away just for a real brief second because I need to tell everybody out there about a company I am very proud to be a part of, Team Bonding. Team Bonding was founded over 20 years ago with one simple question. How can employees have a great time while fostering strong, authentic bonds between people who work together? No matter where your company is located, Team Bonding offers powerful, engaging, custom team building events designed to get the best out of your team anywhere in the world. They've created a catalog of innovative events using the power of play as a learning tool and tapping into the correlation of work and play. So whether it's scavenger hunts to Jeopardy and so many more, the team bonding of activities, whether it's live, virtual, or hybrid, maximizes the impact of team building with an accent on fun. So visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now. Team Bonding, when you want seriously fun results. And speaking of seriously fun, I'm here talking to Jon Stetson, the mentalist himself. John, with Team Bonding, you have just been brought on board with us to do a little event we like to call Halloween Hijinx.
Oh, this is a fun thing. I have... Halloween's always been a very favorite holiday of mine.
Me too.
And it's just in working with Team Bonding, I've had so much fun experiencing all of the different types of events that you would just mention and shared with us. And I certainly, the core belief of we need to be more playful.
Yeah.
in our lives. And the programs that I have been fortunate enough to put together, especially the virtual programs, I had a little head start on that. Back when I was doing trade shows in the 90s, Southern Bell had a conferencing type of setup. And on the trade show floor, they let everyone into like a circus tent. And there was a console, the size of one of Dave Goldstein's boats. And there was a screen, and we were teleconferencing with someone and showing how we could entertain with the monitor, showing how we could educate by explaining how to do some really fun things they could do with their friends and family. So this all goes back to then. And little did I know that it would become such a huge, I know I'm the mentalist, I'm supposed to know, but that it would become such a huge part of us.
Right.
And I grew to love the virtual experience. I still love going out and doing the live programs everywhere. The hybrids are fun, but boy, oh boy, the things that we're able to do virtually were great. Were absolutely great. And once all of us got over our learning curve, it became, it was interesting. A lot of people said, well, we're not together. I think we're more intimate in this environment. What we have learned through COVID,
right,
and to act and to react, and I also believe that there's a worldwide situation where people have become a little more empathetic in the sense of, I understand if someone is ill, I understand if a flight is canceled,
right,
to better accept situation. So there was. I call it divine design and synchronicity, how it all comes together. So doing these playful programs and educational type of things with missions, working virtually, it was a little bit of a curve, which is great. I believe, honestly, I was a tad too clinical to begin with, and because I hold myself to crazy standards.
Okay.
And then the customization stuff for the holidays were presented to me. I love the holiday aspect of things,
right,
on several levels. One, a thing that was rather low key, were families being able to experience a Thanksgiving or a Christmas event together.
Yeah.
And so it would be I don't know how long a program. I would do a short part of it to bring people together and do the whole thing. And oftentimes it would be, the matriarch of the family wanting people to be together, and someone, explained how it works. Yeah. So on a small level, that was beautiful. Then the company level, and I love with the team bonding things when we do great stuff where they're being sent, a drink mix, or they're being sent something. Or in our case, we will sometimes send decks of cards for interactive things that people can not only do with us online, but they can do it with their friends and family. They walk away with the skill. So that's an aspect of what we've been doing too. I will share a faux pas I made.
Go ahead.
So many of the companies were having the ugly sweater contests as part of their thing. And it's become part of our culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so in doing so many virtual shows that one particular December when virtually excuse the expression, but nothing was happening live.
Right.
You're seeing so many of them. And I made a comment. I go, oh my God, this is the craziest ugly sweater contest I've ever seen. And then I learned it wasn't an ugly sweater contest.
I had the exact same thing. I had the exact same thing happen to me during one of my my early ones. Yeah. When we switched so much to virtual, and I went, oh, are we having an ugly sweater contest? And everybody just went,
oh my
no.
Yeah. The only excuse is I'm the mentalist. I'm supposed to know these things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just an idiot they hired to come on and talk to them for an hour. You are actually supposed to be knowledgeable.
It doesn't vary much. We park our cars in the same garage. But the Halloween,
Yeah,
is so much fun. The holiday aspect of things. It's almost a no-brainer having
right.
a holiday party, doing it like this. Basically, it's about logistics or distance and things. And even if they are having a local get together of some type to deal with their folks all around the world, great stuff. For Thanksgiving, well, gratitude is a very big part of my life, and Thanksgiving is my true favorite holiday.
Nice.
One of the reasons I say is it is the one day of the year where we give true and humble thanks that we no longer live with the people with whom we're eating. But seriously, I'm all about gratitude, and it shows in all of the programs. So it's interesting because this year we were asked to do some things specifically attached to Thanksgiving. So that's an interesting one, and that's just within the last few days. And so I'm writing some special stuff. But Halloween, nice. Halloween. Oh my gosh. I've been doing customized things for Halloween. And let's face it, somehow Halloween has become an adult holiday.
Yeah.
As much as it is for the kids.
Right.
And it's everywhere. And I consult on Halloween projects, spooky projects all the time. It's something nice. I love. For example, this program I'm doing here is an Edgar Allan Poe thing. So we're calling it Nevermore. And it's a great fun thing. And if someone wanted something a little more, spooky, we could go there. A lot of things, let's face it, trick or treat. There's a natural tie-in. We sometimes will give them, once again, things that they can pass on and do for others.
Excellent.
Mentalism. Well, we talk about the mysterious, the unknown. These types of things. So we'll create some little games of mind-to-mind contact that would be a little more Halloweenish, based on characters, based on icons and whatnot. But at the same time, knowing that it comes from the good creative heart. So I do not like to go for the hokey of. Right. The hokiness of things. And unfortunately, we see so many, how should I put it, less than good tie-ins. People just, for the sake of attempting to make some.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just to link it to a theme.
Yeah. Though, so when it comes to linking to themes and particular holidays, it's a question of, once again, being real, being genuine about it. I'll tell my own stories based on Halloween and everything that takes place around it. So,
speaking of which, though, actually, if you don't mind, let me just ask if I can get a story from you, especially from the corporate world itself.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, the people out there, they're still getting the image of you in front of a room. But can you give me an example that's actually occurred where you saw a real transformation in the crowd as you were working with them, and what came about from that?
Yes. Without trying to sound like I may sound, I see it every day.
Okay, great.
I will see the body language change in an audience.
Right.
I'll see the level of their engagement.
Okay.
And a lot of it has to do with how we read and how everything is real time. It's organic, and I'm willing to change like that as I do. So you'll have many people coming to you afterwards. It's interesting. In the last, I'm going to say 20, 25 years, that more people at the end when we do meet and greets want to speak about almost like paranormal activities, or ask about memorization or hypnosis or some. There's a built-in curiosity.
Okay.
I've had several. There are a few things that I would choose to remain a little vague about, and it's people talking about real life-changing experience, or things that happened that were very, very personal for these people.
And I'm not at all going to ask you to broach that kind of trust.
And even on our Facebook group, I get emails every day, which is why I do it. I get emails every day from people who said, this was for me, this was fine. There was an awful lot, but you see it in audiences. And interestingly enough, they're like odd situations, where, and it's just through the years, where you're dealing with someone in the audience and they may be a little difficult, or whatever. And one of the key rules of life is another one of the 4 agreements, and that's to not take things personally.
Right. Okay.
Anything. People in show business, have this tendency to go, okay, I got a standing ovation, except for that guy.
Yeah.
What's the problem? And
what does he know?
What we have to know, if I am presenting in front of 100 people, there are 101 different programs taking place.
Yep.
Each one is seeing it through their perspective, through their lens, through their experience, through their belief system, through their habits, through all of these things. The extra one is me. How I see it, and how it's going for me. Oftentimes when I speak to people who do present, I go, yeah, this looks great from your point of view.
Yeah.
I direct some things, and I'll go, maybe it doesn't look so great from their point of view.
Right.
So once again, needing to put it all aside. And it's interesting, the concept of, say, circling the wagons, because oftentimes interesting things are taking place before you're on. In corporate settings, you'll see people go, oh my gosh, they did that? And then, yeah, they did. Having the big memorial for their CEO who just passed away.
Yeah.
And now it's showtime. But I have been asked by long-term clients to be involved in situations where there was not the most pleasant of news to be delivered. I do a great deal of repeat work because I can do several different things, and I love hosting conferences.
Nice.
I love doing it because it takes the predictability out for the viewers. They don't know exactly what's going to happen next. And of course, the key thing for someone like myself is to know when not to do something, how to just straight present.
Right.
Once again, no more look at me, and like this at the door. I'm satisfied when I'm able to communicate properly. I had a cruise director, a friend, who was a legendary guy in the business. And actually, I had a few of these guys, because back then, the cruise director set the tone for the entire cruise.
Yeah.
Now they don't even let them have a last name. It's cruise director Jimmy, but they're some very talented guys doing this now, but they're not allowed to do that. And the cruise director carried the cruise based on his or her personality. And I had asked him, I said, what is the most important thing? Yeah. And he was a great entertainer, he goes, simple. Make sure the people are well informed. Okay. If the people are well informed, they're easy to entertain, they're easy to inform, they're easy to feed, they're easy to educate, all of these things.
Yeah.
And we take so much for granted with these different things. Laying the facts out, communicate with what? Magic words. Be impeccable with your word.
Nice.
Explain it. And when we're incorporating other elements of mystery or or magic, or even puzzle. Some things they can take home with them, just some interesting facts, making it fun, making it engaging. I love
Excellent.
I love movies. I love old show business. I love baseball, and I incorporate different aspects of things
Cool.
Based on my interests, because that's what their interests are.
Sure.
One of the things I love to do is something called Mind Reading Confidential, which is based on a show I did at the Omni Parker House for several years in downtown Boston. It was a neighborhood-centric show, and it was based on someone having a fact about themselves that I couldn't possibly know.
Okay.
And they write it down, and when they're there and we're looking one-on-one, and I do my best to do this. The fun thing is the audience does it as well. They are and they learn a lot about their friends, their family, their coworkers, strangers. It's great. There's another fun little piece that I've just reintroduced. I've not done this in years, but I've been having such great success with it. There'll be 5 people involved in this program, and on the stage with me, I'll say. And as Hollywood is called, they are making 5 major motion pictures, and these motion pictures are based on your lives. You have complete creative control, including the casting. Who is going to play you? So they to tell the truth, like boards, hiding them.
Yep.
But the fun part is, the added fun part is, because we have byplay and it's great action, and I'm asking people from the audience for lines from movies, and we attempt to match up. So the audience is mind reading as well, and the audience is casting as well. As soon as they see these 5 people up there, they're going, oh yeah, that's dot. And once again, it breaks things down.
Yeah.
One of the titles I've given myself years ago was Conversation Architect.
Nice.
Well, what it means is I design, I give you blueprints for conversations you're going to have long after I'm gone. To plant those seeds. And sometimes it might be just a question of, well, do we put him on after the dessert or before? If I go on before the dessert, I give them a whole new thing to talk about. There are there was someone I was really, really pleased with who was doing one of their first live events after going virtual, and the concept of knocking the silos down, from these different in camps, and they were a highly analytical company, lots of engineers, and they said, we got the best of both worlds. We have people talking about all aspects of everything, plus we have them attempting to figure out what you do, and that in itself is a big part of the creative thought process, and allows them to kind of jam on something that they wouldn't normally. So it's out of their every day, but once again gives those the things to talk about, and that's the thing that I love the most when I hear, they were talking about you and talking about you and opening up for other things and aspects in all their own lives.
Very
so
nice.
That is what's really, really rewarding for me as well.
Love it. My team out there, please give a big round of applause one more time for Jon Stetson. Jon, thank you so much for coming on and joining us. I could continue talking to you all day. I honestly could. This is fascinating. You are such a wonderful character unto yourself.
Praise indeed. Well, thank you so much. Anytime.
Unfortunately, we do have a limited amount of time on the podcast. There's one more thing I would love to do with you, though. I didn't tell you about this. I don't know if anybody did, but I have a little game that I like to play at the end of the show where I ask. It's called my speed round. So I'm gonna play the sound effect for that now, just so everybody knows that that's where we are. Speed round. Okay. The way this works, I'm gonna play some music that will actually go for about 60 seconds. And in that time, I'm going to give you some very fast questions. The objective is to see, it's just a way for us to get to know you a little bit more, a little more personally, but to see if you can answer the most in 60 seconds. Right now, this season, the number to beat is 15 questions asked and answered.
Okay.
Do you think you can do it?
Time will tell.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. And remember, this is to have fun. Let's just have a good time with this as we go.
I am, so there's no way this is going to happen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get some music going, and I'll ask the first question, and away we go. What's your name?
Jon Stetson.
Do you have any children?
I do not.
Do you have any pets?
Oh, yes. Olive Gray Stetson.
Nice. If you could actually ask your pet a question and receive an answer, what question would you ask?
The meaning of life.
Okay. What's a great book you've read recently?
Every book I read is a great book. I'm just going to say The Power of Now.
Nice.
Tolle.
If you could be a cartoon character, who would you be?
Me.
What is your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, of watching shows with my grandfather.
Excellent. If you could live in any television home, which one would you choose?
Oh, I don't know, Fred Stanford's.
Nice. What's the most courageous thing you've ever done?
Come on with you.
How would you describe this podcast to your friends?
Fun, interesting, entertaining.
Very good. You got 11, my friend. 11. That's great.
Excellent. You know, the thing is, I ask people questions like this in my show quite often. Think of your favorite movie. Think of your favorite this.
Yep.
And initially I would get a little, back in the day, I said, gee, it takes a long time for someone to think of a favorite movie. But anytime anyone asks me a favorite book, that's my stumbling block. Because
books are so important, aren't they?
I love them. Yeah. I love them.
I'm the same way. You ask me my favorite book, and I can go off for an hour and a half just explaining every book I've ever read in my life. John, thank you again so much for coming on. Is there a place out there my friends can go? We have the Stetson Circle on Facebook. Anybody who's looking to learn more or get themselves involved in your Halloween show at Team Bonding can go to teambonding.com. But what about you? If they want to engage with you a little bit more? If they want to get
in touch with me, I am Jon, Jon. I took the H out in 1976 to be more aerodynamic. Jon, Jon Stetson, Stetson. Jon at jonstetson.com is how to reach me. I have my assistant Sarah goes through lots of things, but we do get back to everyone as soon as we possibly can, because people have so many questions about things that transpire that happen in the program and that we speak about. That I love it. I love having this village. The Stetson Circle on Facebook, LinkedIn, of course. I am Jon Stetson, and Google me. A simple answer to that question, really. Now,
thanks very much, John, and thank you, my team out there. That's it. We've wrapped up yet another episode of Team Building Saves the World. If you've enjoyed this episode, whether new to the podcast or an old fan of the show, please be sure to share it with everyone you know. Whether they're a coworker, a friend, a family member, it helps me to share all this vital information with all of you. You can find out all about us, including all past episodes, at teambonding.com/podcast. You can also find us wherever you find your favorite podcasts, whether it's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you go to listen, I promise you we will be there. And don't forget to look for all of us on the social medias at Team Bond Podcast. Leave me a message. Tell me what you liked about the show, or if you have an idea for a future topic. I do want to hear from you. So, before we say farewell for this episode of Team Building Saves the World, please never forget, my friends, you are within the sound of my voice. You're on my team now, and I am forever going to be on yours. So long, team. I'll see you next time.
It's been said that you learn more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. So why not put your coworkers to play with the help of the team at Team Bonding? Team Bonding was founded over 20 years ago with one simple question. How can employees have a great time while fostering strong, authentic bonds between people who work together? Their catalog of innovative events includes scavenger hunts, Jeopardy, and much more. Each activity, whether live, virtual, or hybrid, maximizes the impact of team building with an accent on fun. Visit teambonding.com teambonding.com to schedule your event now. Team bonding, when you want seriously fun results.